This is 1.1, the coordinate plane. Let's just review a couple of basic reminders about the coordinate plane. We're talking about, a lot of people just say draw a graph and they just draw the XY axis, and again, that's what that is. It also has some other names, Cartesian coordinate system, the coordinate plane, or the rectangular coordinate system. And then of course it's divided up into 4 quadrants, and again, it goes counterclockwise. So any point in this area is quadrant 1, and then quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. And those are some of the basic stuff. And of course, that's a point. It's called an ordered pair because it goes in a certain point, certain order to better graph accurately. All right, so if I ask you to graph the following regions, or notice what it is. Number 1, I have the set. Again, braces represent sets, and I'm talking about all of the points where x is greater or equal to 0. Well, notice all of the x's that are greater or equal to 0, you're just going to be drawing a vertical line. And matter of fact, let me change this to 1 so it's easier to see. Should use this illustration. So at x is greater or equal to 1. So x is greater or equal to 1 is right here. It's a vertical line. And all of the x's, like if I just said x equals 1, it would just be a vertical line. But it says x is greater or equal to 1. So I want all of the x's greater or equal to 1. And so basically it is the shaded region over here. All of the x's that would be greater or equal to 0. 1. All right, number 2, here if I ask you to, again, I have it put down here, I want all of the set notation, all of the points where y equals 1. Well, remember, x lines are vertical, like this is a vertical line, so this is just y equals 1. So you're just going to be drawing a line straight across. And again, if it said less than, we would shade it below. If it said greater than, we would be shading above that. All right, so number 3, if I can go to number 3, we want the set notation of all of the points where y is in between -1 and 1. And pay attention, this isn't like an open interval here, and that's a closed interval. So here we have at -1, and again, y is going horizontal. So at y at -1, it's a dotted line going across. And in between +1, so it would be going here, it's a solid line. And then we have all of the x's, y values, that are in between that line, lines. And again, the difference between the dotted line and the solid line, these points, all of these in here, does include this line, but it doesn't include the dotted line. Again, this includes, this does not. All right, so let's talk about the distance formula. So when you talk about the distance formula, we want to find the distance between 2 points. So point A and point B. So this is the correct notation, distance between point A and point B. So, and again, assuming, A, we write it as XY, and B is XY as well. So there's 2 different points on there. So here's an illustration. We have find the distance between 2, 5. So if we go to 2, 5, and we go to 4, -1. So what we're trying to do is find the distance between those 2 points. And I want to remind you, this was covered in geometry as well. It comes from the Pythagorean theorem. So in other words, if I actually made like a right triangle here, that basically means I'm finding the hypotenuse. I'm trying to find the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So you could do it this way if you want, just use the Pythagorean theorem, or just simply find, it literally is the same thing. It's the same math going on using the Pythagorean theorem or doing the distance. That's where the distance formula came from. So if we follow this, the distance between A and B, this is point A, this is point B. All right, so we would just do the square root, the big square root, and we're going to take the difference of the x coordinates. Again, this is your xy, that's your xy. So we're going to take the difference of it. So that's 2 squared, and then plus the difference of the y's. Again, make sure you do it in the same order as well. So notice if I started with the second point, which I did, so 4 minus 2, and then y2 minus y1. So you got to start with the same point. So -1 minus 5 is -6. And we're going to square that. And so here we're going to get the square root of 4 plus 36, which is the square root of 40. Now, if I ask for the exact answer, you're going to simplify the radical and just get 2 square root of 10. If I ask for a decimal answer, then you would just plug that into your calculator, the square root of 40, and get an approximate value of 6.32. If I set to the hundredths place, or thousands, or whatever I ask you to do, but that would be to the hundredths place. All right, so again, if I ask for the exact value, you give me this. If I ask you for the decimal answer, you give me this. And again, that's the distance between here. And again, if you notice, this is 2, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the hypotenuse is always the longest. So we knew we had to get something above 6, by the way. That's a good way to check it. The hypotenuse is always the longest. And that's a good way to check it. In this drawing, that was the hypotenuse to be able to do that. All right, so let's look at another formula that you covered in geometry. It's the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is literally like finding the average. You're literally trying to find the midpoint, the point that's in the middle between the other 2 points. And so again, you have your x, y, and you just follow that formula. And all it really is finding the average. So you take your 2 x values and divide by 2. So here in this illustration, if I wanted to graph it, -2, 1 is right here. And then 4, 5 is right here. And that's my segment. And what I'm trying to find is the middle point, somewhere in here. Now, I know it's just by looking at it, it looks like 1, 3. Okay, that's what it looks like, just by looking at it. But I highly encourage you, graph paper is nice, but you should get an answer somewhere right around 1, 3. All right, so we're going to just follow that formula. We're going to add the 2 x values together, so -2 plus 4, divide that by 2. And that is 1. And if I take the 2 y values, add them together, 1 plus 5 divided by 2, that is 3. And so I do get the point 1, 3. But again, drawing it gives you a good idea to make sure you're doing the math right. Because you should be able to get to the answer. Your answer should be very close. It should be close to your drawing there. Just in case you get a decimal or a fraction or something like that, you can always draw it and get a good approximation, a good feeling that you know you got it right. So that's the midpoint formula and the distance formula.